let's crack on. Apologies. Are there any apologies? Richard, any apologies?
Yes, Councillor Isherwood, but I'm covering on her behalf.
Nice to see you.
Thank you.
Well, it's a pleasure. Minutes of the meeting of the 10th July, very correct.
Can we correct the fact that Mrs Rowley wasn't here? It was Mrs Isherwood.
I'm sure we can make that correction. Hope you've all had a good summer. We're going to abolish August next year. People get too giddy.
I don't know what you mean.
People should be lying on a beach somewhere and doing nothing else. Okay. Questions, items. There is nothing. Members' declaration of interest, please declare both verbally and in writing any item on which you have an agenda on the any matter on which you've got an interest on the agenda. Right, agenda item 6, Denise.
Yeah, this is the Community Infrastructure Levy report. And the purpose is really to say how much money we've actually got. It's coming a lot quicker this year than last year. Last year it was very slow. We've now got over £1 million in the pot. What I'm asking today is that we note how much we've got and that we approve 300,000 to be spent to support the delivery of the Castleford housing zone. This fits in with the criteria of what it's set up for. There is part of it is for neighbourhoods, and the leader and myself will be consulting with local members on how that is spent. But for the moment, I'm asking for 300,000 to support the bid for the Castleford housing zone. I mean, the majority of the money has come from the Castleford building, and really it sets out in option 1, the preferred option. There is a chart on 5.13 about how much has actually come in and how much has gone statutory to parish council.
Any questions or comments? If not, can we agree?
Okay.
Agenda item 7, structural maintenance capital programme, Matthew, and there's an additional document being circulated with further and better particulars, as lawyers say.
Thank you very much, Mr Leader. To say I welcome this report is an understatement. Nearly every resident of the Wakefield district uses the road network one way or another, whether it's in their own vehicle or on public transport, whether they walk or bike, and whether it's for work, leisure or social. The highways network is at the very heart of our communities, and keeping the district moving is one of the main priorities for this council. But Mr Leader, we have faced some tough times over the last few years, and the way central government has reorganised funding to local highways authorities has not helped the situation. This, coupled with the rising cost of construction materials, climate change and the government's austerity measures, have all made for the perfect storm where we now see the roads in this country hitting a crisis point. It is well documented the cost to sort out Britain's crumbling roads will cost nearly 12 billion and take till 2030 to complete, if the money was available. But when you think of the astronomical cost of HS2, 12 billion is small fry, but will benefit so many more families and businesses in this country. It seems to me, Mr Leader, the Department of Transport and Chris Grayling have totally devolved themselves of any responsibility for these failings. And when they've been forced with extreme cold weather like we've seen in early March of this year, the Secretary of State announced an extra £100 million for pothole repairs to councils across this country. But what did that actually mean to the Wakefield district? Well, in the region, an extra £260,000. Yes, we welcomed it, and yes, we accepted it. But once again, it doesn't go a long way to what we actually need to repair the roads. And you should not and cannot maintain the district roads off one-off grants. So this council, now like many other local authorities across the country, are now to see how they can improve the condition of the roads ourselves. Over the last 5 years as a council, we've invested an extra £1 million per year in the highways on top of the yearly grant from the Department of Transport. But even now we concede this is just simply not enough. So this report today sets out a proposal to invest an extra £3 million per year in the next 5 years in the district highways. This will very nearly match the funding we receive each year from the Department of Transport. Mr Leader, an extra £15 million in the next 5 years is a significant increase in funding for the district highways. Will it solve all our problems overnight? No. What it will do is enable us to plan more effectively how we treat our roads and fetch them up to a better standard and help maintain that standard. It will also enable us to invest more money in the unclassified roads where 70% of the people in the district actually live. Mr Leader, I would like to formally move this report and its recommendation in option 5, paragraph 7.13. Thank you.
Thanks, Matthew. Can I just say, I'll bring you in more, I want to say. Can I just say that it is welcome news. People, you know, have got expectations that, as you quite rightly said, can't always be met. I think it's really important that with the extra funding that is available, we let people know quite clearly what we can, what we can't do, and how money is allocated. I think if people understand that, it'd be a lot better. So my kind of plea to you and your officer colleagues is to make sure that the public are made aware online and through other methods of how much we've got, what we're able to do, and how we're going to decide about that money is spent. I think it's really crucial. Maureen?
Yeah, I mean, I welcome it. Living in a very rural ward where the roads are quite bad. What I would welcome, and I'm sure other members would welcome, is where the money is going to be spent. Is there going to be a programme put together as to we're going to fill a pothole here, we're going to do this stretch of road there, similar to the road maintenance one that we normally have? That would be very, very useful. I'm sure that you understand why. And
that is how it will be. That's how it'll be done. We will do that every year. We'll make an annual programme of the works we're doing. That's why I go back to the unclassified roads. That is where the majority of people live. Our A's and B roads are not bad. It's the unclassified where we need to put more investment into the highways network. And as I totally agree with the leader and yourself, Councillor Cummins, that programme will be made annual.
Yeah, Les.
Yeah. I think you've just touched on it there, Matthew. I think the unclassified roads is the real key to this. I think the A and B roads and some of the excellent links that we've just completed, not just around Wakefield but around other areas, have got traffic moving. But I think it is the unclassified roads in all the areas that people are quite rightly saying, look, we've got damage here and we can't repair it. And I'd welcome what Maureen's just said there. I think that's important, that people get the information about why we're making these decisions and prioritisation. And I'm sure we'll do that. But it's an excellent report and I welcome it.
I do, and someone like yourself, Les, that represents Airedale, I would say probably 80% of your ward is unclassified roads. This will make a big impact into roads around your area.
Jackie.
Yeah, like everyone else, I welcome the report, Matthew, and I'm pleased to see that it's going to allow earlier intervention for potholes, because, you know, they are the bane of everyone's life, and if we can actually do something to improve those at an earlier stage, I'm sure that everyone's going to benefit.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Okay, as a first step, can I suggest that you, because there'll be potentially some media interest in this, that we're spending money on highway maintenance, can I suggest that you write to every member of council to explain, this has gone through, to explain there'll be a process set up, otherwise you'll have emails from every single member of council, including myself, with a list of areas that we want doing. So just make sure that all council members are aware as well. I
will do that. I just think it's about that, for just fetching expectation down. But we have got some extra money, but we have got a massive backlog as well. So just fetch expectation down a little bit. It's good news, but you know we haven't got 65 million to sort everything out. Okay. Thank you. Not yet. Anyway.
Okay. Thanks very much indeed. CAB.
Yes, thank you, Leader. This is to seek approval from Cabinet to enter into a funding arrangement with Citizens Advice Wakefield District over a period of 3 years, 2018 to 2021. Citizens Advice contributes to one of the Council's priorities to reduce poverty. It's the only charity that offers free and independent advice and support to Wakefield's residents and provides many ways of most vulnerable residents to access its services, including weekly outreach sessions in the South East and the 5 towns. They help at least 13,500 people each year, so it's a great asset to the people out there. They recruit and train 50 volunteers, advisors, in addition to its paid workers. With the universal credit rollout in November, this will lead to more residents requiring advice and support from Citizens Advice. They are working with the council to reduce the impact of universal credit and developing partnerships with adult social care and other agencies to upskill staff. So I'm asking Cabinet to approve option 1, and it's grant funding of £282,150 annually to Citizens Advice Wakefield District for 3 years.
Maureen?
Can I just ask, I mean, I welcome it because it is the only independent advice, really, other than our own welfare advice that we offer in Wakefield, one that we have in our district, and we are facing universal credit on the 28th of November, and people will be seeking more and more advice. Is this funding just to maintain the service as it is, or is there any add-on?
I don't know about the add-on. Can you?
So it's to maintain the service as it is. We recently reviewed the service and realised that it's operating to a very high quality. Where we feel the service needs to develop within the existing cost envelope is to actually work better in partnership with the local authority and with other agencies like the NHS. So at the moment, whilst it's a high quality service, it tends to be quite isolated in terms of partnership working. So we really want to build on that, and that's why CAD are going to be training connected care workers and other staff to be able to give out advice, which just it stretches the reach of the service.
Yeah, you mentioned the outreach work in the southeast and 5 towns. There are some very deprived areas that can't actually get to these. This is why I asked the question: will it be extended at all into areas that
can't get to those sessions?
Can't get to those sessions.
I think Maureen makes a really good point. And just thinking aloud, what I'd personally like to see, and hopefully colleagues will be supportive, is to have a dialogue whether somebody comes to Cabinet from Citizens Advice in 6 months' time to say what's happening, and in particular to take on board Maureen's point about extra workload that has been generated because of some of the problems that's going to happen because of universal credit. And we need to make sure that we remain flexible in terms of our ability to be able to support them, because we would want to. So I think that'd be really, really good, because we can hear firsthand about some of those problems that that they're dealing with on a day-by-day basis. So we hear for ourselves. I'll take Richard, Les, Jackie.
Thanks, Leader. I welcome this, wholeheartedly welcome it. I think one of the things that, and following on from what Maureen said, is we do need to know how people can access this service, because one of the difficulties we have as local members is when people come to our surgery, again, difficulties with transport, we hear all sorts of things. So as easy as we can possibly make it for the people that come to see us, so it's just a plea for more information about how to access these services.
And could I just add to that? I mean, I know in our surgeries in Pontefract, in Pontefract Library, Citizens Advice are there, so they've extended the services within the libraries as well. So that's really good.
Sorry.
So a couple of years ago, I think Citizens Advice Bureau picked up some of these concerns, and they introduced a number of changes to the service. So one thing they do is now a phone service, which has reduced their waiting list considerably, because actually almost everything can be done over the phone, and that's obviously really important in an area like Wakefield with such a rural community and people issues around transport. So just to reassure that that's very much at the top of their agenda.
Brilliant.
Les?
Yeah, I want to add to that, because I think it's important. It is important for the rural areas getting around, but it's just as important in my ward, Airedale. They find difficulty. Some of them don't go out of Airedale. And I think we should remember that on some of these big council estates, that's where they are. With the advent of universal credit, we will have some issues. And I really welcome this, but it is the sort of outreach that is going to be really crucial to this, to give information back to us so we can gather that information and do something about it. So I think the report's excellent, but just this outreach situation is important.
Jackie, Councillor McRae, sorry, Chief Executive, and then...
Well, what I wanted to say about access has already been said, but what I would just like to state is a big thank you to Citizens Advice, because I think it's a service that for many years people right across our districts have relied on, and I know from talking to residents that have used it how very much that they value it, and so I'm delighted that we are continuing to give it support, as we should.
That's a really good point about saying thank you to them.
It is.
And record our thanks in the minutes.
And I think a lot of their training, it's absolutely brilliant, the training. You know, I think there's a lot of people wanting to do their training, but they can't get into it because, as they say, it is limited to certain people.
So I think Maureen's point is really important.
So it's sort of, it is, yeah, very much so.
You know, kind of working very, very closely with them at this particular time of all times. Marion, I'll come to you, Maureen, to finish up.
Thank you, Leader. I was just going to say, there's a report coming to next Cabinet about the implementation of Universal Credit, and that will touch on some of the support work that's going on, because as well as Citizens Advice Bureau, there is Cashwise, which is run by WDH in their areas, and they have some funding to extend that to outside of WDH housing as part of the introduction preparation of Universal Credit. So I think if that report can touch on some of that support. And then I think a report on the first lessons learned from Universal Credit in March. So that might be the appropriate one to invite Citizens Advice Bureau to, so that you've got both those conversations at the same time.
Yeah, it'd be really good.
Yeah.
Maureen?
Yeah, first of all, can I just ask, it's the first time I've heard about the free phone advice. Is the actual phone free? Can you ring from a phone and it's free? Or is there a cost? If there's a cost, I wonder if there's some opportunity for us across some of the organisations, some of the community centres across the district, we can, like WDH, have a phone in that they can ring one call, they just pick it up and it gets direct to one call. I wonder if there's some opportunity for us to look at that, just installing a phone that goes straight to citizens, nowhere else, just to Citizens Advice Bureau, and what that phone cost would be, because I am sure that out of the money that we receive as elected members, I would be more than happy to fund something like that.
Well, I think that's an excellent idea. I can take that away and talk to the Thank you.
Yes, it is really good. So thank you to Pat and thank you to Maureen for engendering that discussion and debate. It was really helpful. Thank you for all the comments. Okay, agenda item 9, our support for young people leaving care, local offer. Obviously it says Margaret, but...
it's me. Thanks, Leader. Agenda item 9. The purpose of this report is to provide the Cabinet with information to seek approval for the local offer for care leavers in 2018-19. We plan to publish this along with every other local authority by autumn this year. In addition to statutory and discretionary services provided under various legislation, it requires the Social Work Act 2017 requires each local authority to consult on and publish local offers to its care leavers. We have done the consultation now, and one of the actual things that we're coming out with is the service that currently supports around, apologies for reading this, supports around 260 care leavers, of which 80 are aged between 16 and 17, and the remainder are aged 18 years plus. And the legislative changes in April 17 extended the duty of care for care leavers up to the age of 25. In recent months, consultation has taken place with children in care and young people and council staff. And one of the things that we're actually looking now, the report does contain details of this consultation, which I hope we've had a chance to have a look at, and looking at how we can extend this offer across council directorates, including more apprenticeships, work tasters and mentoring, which clearly from a young person leaving care is critically important. The report also includes, for Cabinet approval, a recommendation that the Council include and introduce a council tax exemption for care leavers up to the age of 25 where it applies. This follows a letter to the Leader of the Council in June 2017 from Anne Longfield, the Children's Commissioner for England, and she's asking all councils to consider this. The experience they've found that can actually be quite a beneficial thing for the young people. So finally, the report does make reference to further work and future ambitions that are already planned to take place later in the year, and how the local offer may be refreshed and extended. So I'd ask the Cabinet today to approve the option 1 as outlined in 6.1 of this report.
Any questions or comment?
Can I just ask, and only recently I dealt with a case of a 16-year-old whose guardian or father passed away and was not allowed to stay in the property that they were in. This scheme that you have when you say they leave care at 16, how are they supported with the tenancy, and who
well, that's
how does that work? Maybe we should have a conversation about it, bearing in mind what I've just had to do.
I think one of the things, let's be at it, I certainly am not fully aware of the fully support packages available. We do have a report coming in the following item that actually covers support and accommodation. That's around the purchasing of it, but there is quite a varied range of it. But Beate, I wonder if we could actually have a wider report on the support that's available for care leavers.
We absolutely can do that. But just to say that I think what this Act does is actually make sure that local authorities have responsibilities for young people who've been in care until they're 25. So young people shouldn't be leaving care at 16. They should be having support, a range of support all the way through, and that includes an offer to just be able to stay in touch if you need help later on. So there are various options for accommodation for young people who are 16, 17, but also young adulthood, which includes staying with your foster carers as one of the options that we're really trying to promote, but also various options of supported accommodation where that might not be possible, and different levels of support which are in line with what's needed for that young person.
There just seems to be that chasm for me between the 16 and 18-year-old. 16-year-olds can join the army and fight for the country, but they can't have a tenancy. And that just seems, seems to be a little bit wrong. As I say, I've just had a 16-year-old who's...
Yeah. They can't vote either, as a matter of interest.
Yeah. Who was living with his father. His father's passed away, and he can't take on the tenancy because there's nobody to support him. And he's ended up with relatives outside the district. So I just worry about that 16 to 18-year-old
it's a difficult age band.
And how we are helping them.
Okay, what I'd like to know is this: how are you going to know if the package is successful? How we're going to performance manage it? So in a year's time, we're going to have a report back that says we've consulted further with the people that we're hoping to help, and that this is the feedback.
Yep, we can sort that out for you, Leader. Definitely bring a report back to Cabinet.
And does this in any way relate to the officer report?
It's part of our improvement our improvements to the offer we provide for care leavers and the support we provide for care leavers. So this is part of our improvement plan, that we improve the offer, that we support care leavers better. But as Councillor Forster is saying, it's just the beginning. This is really the initial offer, and we want to continuously build on that.
The only reason I ask is I just wonder whether or not we've asked the Commissioner for any comment, because I know he wanted to be proactive during his time here. It's just a thought. May well be just to ask him to cast his eye.
Yep, will do.
Okay. Anything else? If not, let's move on to agenda item 10. Again, it's you, Richard, 16 to 25 years, leaving care and vulnerable young people accommodation.
Right, thanks, Leader. This report actually sets out a new arrangements for actually purchasing and securing accommodation for young people 16 to 25. Currently, it's done under the White Rose framework, but local authorities have currently done reviews on this, and so now we're looking at a new arrangement to come in place that will actually take place with Bradford, Calderdale, Wakefield. Kirklees and Leeds are currently looking at their own arrangements. Leeds, I understand, are actually looking at a completely different way of doing it. So what the purchasing will do, it will enable us to get the best value of the widest range of offers available to young people. What we want to ensure is that we have still a system in place that ensures the quality, choice and opportunity for young people in the Wakefield district. And in some cases, some young people actually want to leave the district, so that will actually help us support that as well. Currently, care leave replacements, it's an annual spend of 1.4 million based on current levels of activity. So it is important that we do get the best value and create the greatest opportunity. So I have to point out, though, as part of this, it won't all be done through this framework, because clearly this frame will not meet everybody's needs. So the nature of the service will mean that we still have to purchase outside the framework to meet specific needs of the young people. So what we're asking today is be authorised to option 2B, the Wakefield Council collaborates with with Bradford and Calderdale councils to procure this dynamic purchasing system.
Any questions or comments? Right.
I'm awfully sorry to labour the point. But what about a 16-year-old that wants to stay in the property he's been brought up in?
Well, again,
how do we support those people? Is it just about care leavers, or is it about, you say here in vulnerable young people? What about those vulnerable young people who are not care leavers that want to stay in the property that they've been brought up in? How do we support them?
That's one of the things that we will look at from the previous report, but this is in relation to actually securing properties.
Okay.
This is not to do with properties that they're already in. It's actually accessing properties for people that are coming out of care.
You know? Okay, thank you for that, Richard. Agenda item 11, last item on the agenda, financial health report, and I'm pleased to announce our financial health is good, and that's always helpful when I'm introducing the report. We are £40,000 underspent, that's the projection anyway, which is not bad. I'm sure finance will try and do better next time, but it's not a bad it's not a bad start. I mean, the truth is, if you look at that report, it shows you that there is overspending on adults, but there's underspend on some of our corporate services. So, you know, there is a balancing there. And I'm sure Neil would want me to say that we faced tremendous pressures during the year, in particular with the increasing demand for adult social care, with the increased budget that we shall probably have to find in terms of children's services as well, to make sure that the improvement plan is fully and properly delivered. So we face huge financial pressures. The medium-term financial plan will be brought to Cabinet in the relatively near future for us to look at and amend where necessary. But certainly at this moment in time, the position is more or less steady with a £40,000 underspend. Happy to answer any questions that colleagues have got. If not, thank you. That concludes that agenda item and the meeting.